Hello and welcome to Jerez for race 2 of this weekend's Spanish Formula 4 Championship round here in the southwestern coast of Spain. Very much at the halfway point of this season now. We see the grid on screen. Andres Cardenas, his second pole of the season, his second pole of the weekend, ahead of Enzo Deligny and championship leader Theophil Nail, while Valerio Rinacella rounds out the second row. We had plenty of action yesterday, lots of safety cars, lots of contentious movements, but in the end, it was a win for Theophil Nail, who's extended his championship lead over the now second place driver in the standings, Valerio Rinacella. Nail with 158 points to Rinacella's 111. Pedro Claro dropped down to third in the standings. He's got 108, while Christian Ho, who did take the lead very briefly at one point at the beginning of the race, had a bit of a contretemps with Theophil Nail and fell down to sixth in the end. Wasn't able to recover after banging wheels early on. Enzo Deligny took a podium yesterday to make himself fifth in the standings. He's also the highest rookie in the championship. Now, very quickly through the grid, because it's a massive grid. Starting from the back, 35th position, Eloy Gonzalez. He took a 3-place penalty for a collision yesterday. He is just behind Kai Darinani and Isaac Barashi for 34th and 34th. 32nd is Dewey Richards, formerly the Campagnoli. He's just behind Lorenzo Castillo, who is a guest driver this weekend. Carl Bennett starts 30th behind Max Restrepo in the DriveX entry, while Flavio Oliveri starts 28th just behind Alexander Absakava, who has a 5-place grid penalty for a collision. Fernando Barrichello retired yesterday, and he starts 26th just behind Juan Cota in DriveX. Another driver took a 5-place grid penalty. Well, 24th goes to George Zaravsky, while Luciano Morano will start 23rd for Santalog Racing. Lynn Hodines didn't finish yesterday. Starts 22nd today, behind Federica Al-Rafai, 21st. And into the top 20, you have Theodore Jensen for Santalog Racing with a 1 minute 44.172, almost exactly 1 second behind the pole position time. Eric Genet starts 19th for formerly the Campagnols, just behind his teammate Griffin Peebles, who ran in the points. Christian Ho finished 6th yesterday, starts 17th today, just behind Keanu Aladzari, who was 16th. Thomas Strauven, a debutant driver for FP Motorsport, he retired yesterday. He starts 15th behind Alvis Rodea, who he had a collision with. That's 14th. Pablo Sarrazin gets away from 13th, just behind Geronimo Barrio, who will be 12th. And Pedro Claro will get away 11th place. He was second in FP1. He'll be hoping to make more of that. Alex Ninovich will get away from 10th on the grid in his Rodin Carlin entry, just behind Jessica Carasquala, who got a 1 minute 43.796, just 0.03 of a second behind Ricardo Grazia in a Monlau Motorsport machine. Noah Lyle returns to Spanish Formula 4 this weekend with a 7th place start for Rodin Carlin, just behind the 6th place driver Noah Stromstead in Campos. Matteo De Peo came home 4th yesterday. He starts 5th today for Campos. Valerio Rinacella, the driver who's now second in the standings for MP Motorsport, he got a 5th place finish yesterday. He was the fastest driver in FP2. Third on the grid is championship leader and race winner yesterday, Theophil Nail for Santalog Racing, a 1 minute 43.286. And on the front row of the grid, on the right-hand side of your screen in the Red Bull colours, is Enzo Deligny for Campos Racing, a 1 minute 43.160, a pole position man. And second place in yesterday's race, Andres Cardenas in the white Campos entry, a 1 minute 43.101. He will be hoping to actually take the win today. As the back of the field has fully lined up, the safety car is there, the green flag is waving, and the race has begun. And Cardenas gets a good start. Theophil Nail tries to go down the inside of Enzo Deligny, doesn't quite make it. As Deligny holds the position, Rinacella is going to try and go around the outside of Nail. It doesn't quite work. There is De Peo and Stromstead battling for 5th and 6th positions behind. Several cars going hard into turn 2, but thankfully no collisions at this point. As it unwinds from the right-hander into the left-hand bend. Cardenas getting away very well, much better than he did yesterday, but Deligny is there in second place, making absolutely certain that his teammate and rival does not surge away. Coming down the back stretch. Now, as we see Stromstead and De Peo battling hard over 5th and 6th positions. Theophil Nail holding off Rinacella just about. No changes in position in the top 6 as yet. Definitely plenty of hard racing at this point. Cardenas doing a wonderful job. A rookie driver, missed the opening round of the season. He was too young to compete, turned 15 just before the second round at Motorland Aragon in May. And he's got a couple of points positions until yesterday's podium position, and it really marks a step up for the young man as he comes from the last couple of corners. He's going to lead the end of this first lap, takes the left-hander, long limbering corner, then accelerates hard. The biggest loser on that opening lap, you can see the graphic on the screen, is Riccardo Grazia, who'd lost 4 positions over the start. He went from 8th down to 12th. Well, we do have a driver who is in the pits. Alexander Absakava and George Zurawski both are in the pits. No indication yet as to why that is. As you see the MP Motorsport mechanics on the pit wall. And that was a stall. Someone got away very, very, very slowly. And I think that may well have been Lorenzo Castilla, the rookie driver, the guest entry. He's a driver who spent pretty much most of this season in karting. And we have a stopped driver on the circuit now. It's one of the MP Motorsport entries. It's just identifying exactly who it was. It may be Thomas Stravin. Well, I will confirm that. I think it is certainly Thomas Stravin. We'll wait for confirmation in a few moments' time. This, of course, being race 2 of the weekend, is the shorter race of the weekend, 25 minutes plus 1 lap, and as a result, pays out fewer points. Now we'll see if they can clear Stravin's car in time. No, not quite. The safety car has been called. The wheel's certainly not locked, so they'll be. But it doesn't look as if he's had. Oh, actually, I think, yeah, he had a bit of a bump on the right front. You can tell it's slightly misaligned. When I say slightly misaligned, visually not quite in position. So possibly he's gone right front into someone's left rear. We will hopefully get a replay of that. As the field comes through now, he'll be told to. And there we go. It's actually, I think he's taken a hit on both the right rear and also deranged the right front as well. In the pits is Flavio Oliveri for Cram Motorsport. New front wing. And given the go signal, he'll drive up to the rear of the field. That incident with Thomas Stravin is being investigated by the stewards quite naturally. Probably a little bit difficult to move the car if there has been some significant suspension damage, but in saying that, up, it's just not locked up. So, as I was about to mention, this of course being the shorter race of the weekend, therefore fewer points on offer. No bonus points for pole position. The grid for this race, of course, is made up by the second best times in qualifying 1. As we have, that is Zurawski still in the pit lane after he stopped on the opening lap of the race. No, it does not look like it's going to get going anytime soon. The winner for this race will pick up 18 points as opposed to 25 in the main race. Second place gets 15. Third place will take 12 points. Fourth takes 10. And then it's 8, 6, 4, 2, 1 down to 9th place. The fastest lap will take a point as long as you finish in the top 10. we have another lap behind the safety car. As the marshals busy trying to pull Strauven's car off the circuit. Alexander Absakava has rejoined, by the way, and is currently running down in 32nd place. That is the last of the runners. The safety car is in this lap. It'll be interesting to see the manner in which Cardenas handles the getaway behind the safety car. And interesting too to see what manner in which Deligny will be charging to get past. It must be said, Nail does have quite a significant lead. He also has pole position provisionally for race 3 later on today, does Nail, which once the results from this race are finalised, if there's no penalties and whatnot, he will then gain a further 2 points for achieving pole position. Of course, if on the off chance there is something that does happen and he gets a penalty and loses that pole position, he would also lose those 2 points. But he has a gap of 47 points over second place Rinicella, and then you have Rinicella, Clara, Ho, and Deligny all kind of covered by 11 points. So the battle for second in the standings at the moment is quite tight, although they would all much rather be battling for the lead of the championship. As Cardenas gets his foot down and accelerates out of the final part of the chicane, goes through the right-hander, has one more left-hander to navigate before going on to the start-finish straight. He's trying to get away from Deligny. Meanwhile, TfL Nail is zeroing in on the back of the Red Bull supporter driver. Rinicella still in 4th position ahead of Matteo De Peo, Stromstead 6th, Lyle 7th, Carasquara 8th, Berrio is 9th. Five laps in the books. This is the 6th lap of the race. And it is a very, very good restart from Cardenas. I mentioned yesterday he got his first pole position in Spanish Formula 4. Took his first podium. He'll be hoping today for his first win. And we do see Rinicella is having a go at TfL Nail as he did on the opening lap. He's going to run around the outside, but can he make it stick? And will Nail, cutting it very fine. Rinicella does go through. And one was wondering if maybe Nail would be a little bit more circumspect about hanging it all out into dry sack. The potential of damage there is quite significant. And if you're not finishing and you're not scoring points, your chances are you could really do significant damage to one's championship lead. But for now, Rinicella is onto the podium. As mentioned, he finished P5 in yesterday's race, took a race win in the race prior to the summer break. As we see, there's Noah Lyle battling hard with Stromstead and De Peo, and really holding position and staying ahead of the Campos racers. The Carasquara, meanwhile, has taken his teammate, tries to go down the inside of Lyle. Meanwhile, behind them, Berrio in the orange MP Motorsport is trying to take advantage of anything that happens in front of him. Lyle has gained very much the advantage at this point. De Peo just ahead of Carasquara. Then you got Berrio. Berrio is trying again to take Carasquara. Carasquara holding the inside line, but this has also brought Grazia and Christian Ho into play. As Cardenas out front continues to lead, the gap is half a second. He's not streaked away as one may have thought he might, but he still looks comfortable. Deligny is not pressing and pushing any stretch of the imagination. Cardenas, meanwhile, actually set the fastest lap of the race last time around. A 1 minute 44.063, took 2 seconds out of his chasing rival Deligny. Lyle continues to lead from DePeo, then he got Carasquara, this is 6, 7 and 8. Berrio in 9th place in the Orange MP Motorsport machine, then behind him is Christian Ho. Then you got Riccardo Grazia in 11th place. The Monlau Motorsport entry, the Dutch team, parented somewhat by Van Amersfoort Racing. It is mostly inexperienced or junior mechanics working the Monlau Motorsport entries in Formula 4. Was referenced to me by team boss, or Van Amersfoort team boss, Fritz Van Amersfoort last year. A fantastic little project. Now, Berrio has got past Carasquara into turn 1, down the start-finish straight, and he has... No, that is, sorry, my apologies, that is Christian Ho. That is still Berrio just ahead of Christian Ho. Berrio under significant pressure, actually. It's actually allowed Carasquara just ahead to pull away slightly. Grazia is putting both of them ahead under pressure. And not far behind them is Pablo Sarrazin, who's bringing his own trail of cars. Sani Mekiana Aletzari, then Griffin Peebles, Alvis Rodea, who didn't finish yesterday. Then you got Eric Genet. This is the battle. Ooh, gerbil or something. They running across the track and got away with it. The battle for 9th place. You got Berrio. Ho is on the inside, and he is going to take the position. Ho takes 9th place from Geronimo Berrio, who just could not hold on any longer. Grazia was not able to make further inroads as we switch back to Lyle, DePeo and Carasquara. Battle over 6th, 7th and 8th. Then you got 9th, 10th and 11th. And then you have everyone else behind. Battling for positions, but not points as yet. Not really been the strongest of weekends so far for Christian Ho. As I mentioned, 4th in the standings with 103 points. He led very briefly yesterday on the opening lap of the race. A storming start from 3rd, but then had banged the wheels ever so slightly with the Felnail and kind of set him off track ever so slightly. He dropped down to 6th place and never really recovered. Hoping to make more today, but currently he is in 9th place, which, to be fair, starting 17th, so it's not actually a bad effort whatsoever. The highest climber so far in this race, you can see on the screen, is 20th position. That's Carl Bennett. He's starting down to 30th. The Jerez driver, Anglo fly racer, making inroads up the field. And battling with Federico Alrafai for 19th position. Fastest lap of the race overall has been just been set by Faifel Nail, and one does wonder if he's sensing the opportunity to push hard and maybe retake a podium position. He doesn't need to press terribly hard. Yes, he has Rinocella just ahead, who's 2nd in the standings, but there's only 1 position, and it would be a loss of just 2 points. And Deligny, who is 5th in the standings, is currently running 2nd. But Cardenas, the race leader, is not a championship challenger. He's actually down 9th in the points with only with 34 collected so far. So finishing 4th today would not be a significant loss for Nail at all. But he's a racer. He wants success. He wants podiums and he wants wins. And he's really latched himself back on to the leading pack. And we'll be hoping to make up ground, probably take that podium position back. Cardenas. Gap is 7/10 of a second over Deligny. Then Deligny has 7/10 of a gap over Rinocella. The mechanics for Campos Racing watching the race on a mobile phone. in the garages. They probably should know there's a television behind them which will be showing it. Jerez, he's driving very, very well at the moment. He's not that flustered. He's not making any kind of errors or mistakes or silly little maneuvers. He seems content in the lead. He seems confident. Gap is 3/4 of a second. The gap is far less than that between Runachea and Nails, only half a second. I say far less. Cardenas comes across the line, completing 9th lap. Is a 2-second time penalty for car number 72. That is Elio Gonzalez, the guest driver for this weekend. Track limits. There's been several warnings passed out for track limits. There's warnings out for Federico Al-Rafai and Kiana Al-Adzari as well. And also Jessica Esquada, who's currently in 8th position, if they get one more warning. They will also get penalties, and if they get another warning after the penalty, that penalty then extends to 5 seconds. Noah Lyle in 6th place. He's lost about 4 seconds to Stromstead, who Stromstead, by the way, in 5th position, having a bit of a lonely race. He's 2 seconds behind Nail and pretty much nailed onto a 5th place finish. But for Lyle, he is just ahead of Carasquala. He's just ahead of De Peo. Then his teammate Carasquala is just behind. Then he got Christian Ho in 9th position, who's the last points playing position. Then you have Geronimo Berrio, 10th position, while Ricardo Grazia is 11th. Pablo Sarrazin 12th, and Kiana Al-Adzari 13th with Griffin Peebles in 14th. This is almost peloton-like at this stage from the from Laya backwards. 6th position down to 16th position. The gap is something like 12 seconds. New fastest lap of the race, a 1:43.733 for Cardenas. He's not necessarily going that much faster than drivers behind him. It's just that when they're setting their fastest laps, their personal bests, Cardenas is just going that little bit quicker and setting actual fastest laps of the race. As you see Stromstead at the bottom of the screen there, as I mentioned. Bit of a lonely drive for him. Then it's Lyle. The black and yellow machine for Rodin Carlin. Behind him is De Peo still, then Carasquala, and you got Christian Ho and Berrio. Berrio in the... Oh, and we do have an incident, and it is one of the Santaloc Racing entries, and I'm not entirely sure who the other... I think that's Alexander Abzacava, and the other one may be Luciano Morano. And there's another driver going around. I think, was that exiting the pits, or that was just happening to catch the safety car as it left the pit lane? Alex Ninovich is down the bottom of the field too. And that is very much, that's quite a bit of damage, and I do wonder if we'll actually even get this restarted. With 2 cars damaged and stranded, one of them particularly because they're in the gravel trap. Morano with no front wing, and I think that's probably the front wing is the one that's strewn on the grass just to his left. But Abzacava also actually does have a front wing. It's damaged, and I think it's sat, kind of collapsed in the gravel. But definitely very much a deranged left front. So, this will be interesting to see how this race develops. I have to mention, while we do have a little bit of a lull, several drivers have pitted in this race. Flavio Oliveri, as mentioned earlier on, pitted on lap 2. He's up to 24th position now. Pedro Claro, Alex Ninovich did pit as well. I think that's where I may have got a little bit confused. Ninovich has pitted and returned to the race. They both pitted on lap 5. Isaac Barashi pitted on lap 4. Theodore Jensen pitted on lap 10. But these are all drivers very much down the lower end of the order. And if you are watching on timing and scoring, in 25th position, car number 6, Hugh Yamakoshi. Yamakoshi's not actually here this weekend. That car has been driven by Dewey Richards for the Formula de Campanos entry. He started 32nd. Got a reprimand in free practice 1. I think he had track limits. He was pinged 10 times, but because it was his first weekend in a Formula 4 car, first competitive weekend in the Formula 4 car, I think they gave him a reprimand and told him not to do it again. They'd be far more determined to punish those kind of errors in the actual race. We've had further warnings for track limits. For car number 36, Alessandro Silvaggi down in 23rd position, and Dewey Richards on his final warning for track limits. Oh, there you go. And this, I'm certain, is just going to run out now the clock with only 1 minute 40 remaining. They're only just getting rid of, or winching up, and there we have the red flag. And this was very much a case. This race was never going to restart. Too close to the end of the race, and Absakava's car has only been winched out of the gravel now, and they haven't even picked up Morano's car. It did allow all of the drivers to cross the finish line to record the end of that lap. And so the count back pretty much goes back to the previous lap. So no change of position effectively under these red flag conditions. What I can tell you is that Andres Cadenes has won and also claimed the fastest lap. Which gives him 19. Second place was Enzo Deligny. Puts him on 115. Then third was Valerio Rinicella. Fourth was championship leader Theophile Nail. Fifth was Noah Stromstead. Sixth was Noah Lyle. Seventh was Matteo De Pello. And eighth position was Jesse Carrasquada. And ninth, the final points paying position, was Christian Ho. As drivers now pull into Parc Ferme. And that means Nail, of course, continues to lead this championship at 168. Rinicella remains second in the standings with 124. A new third place driver in the points is Enzo Deligny on 115, while Pedro Claro drops down to 4th position with 108, non-score today. Christian Ho took up 1 point. He's now 5th in the standings with 104. Noah Stromstedt still 6th in the standings with 94 points. Matteo De Peo 7th in the standings with 87 points. Kiana Alazzari is still on 69. With the race win, Andres Cardenas still 9th in the standings, but now with 53 points, while Geronimo Berrio is still 10th with 32 points. As the field now pulling into Parc Fermé. There will be a very quick examination of the cars as they prepare for the 3rd race of the weekend, which takes place in a few hours' time. A race for which Nell is on pole position, and he will take... I mean, I can't imagine there'll be any reason for him to get a penalty, so he's going to get those 2 points. He's going to be up to 170. Fourth place today. Actually, his first time off the podium since race 1 at Aragon. As we look back at the start of the race, you see it was a very good start by Cardenas, helped somewhat by Delaney fending off BFL Nail on the start finish straight. Rinachella tried to go through early on, but didn't quite make it. Stromstedt and De Peo battle hard early on for 5th and 6th place, but Stromstedt managed to pull away and build a gap. As the Jerez drivers looking out onto the field. Little bits of action through the rear and the middle of the race today. But I must say, very mature race. Apart from an incident right at the end, which brought out the safety car, and we can just see the top 10 results, the provisional results at the moment. Cardenas winning from Enzo Delaney, Rinachella rounding out the podium. Theo Nail, then Stromstedt was 5th, 6th was Noah Lyle, ahead of Matteo De Peo, Jessica Esquada 8th, Christian Ho 9th, as I said, last point score. 10th place for Geronimo Berrio, no points there.
Andrés, enhorabuena. Ayer no pudiste completar todo el trabajo que habías preparado en la quali, pero hoy sí, enhorabuena.
Claro que sí, ¿no? Hoy fue, creo que mi mejor carrera que he hecho en fórmulas. Estoy muy agradecido a todo lo que me han ayudado, a lo que me han apoyado, por todo este trabajo que hemos hecho con Campos, Santi, mi ingeniero, Jesús, todos. Demasiadas gracias y bueno, yo sé que hay cosas que mejorar, pero ahí estamos llegando, ahí estamos siendo consistentes, buenos y muy orgullosos y seguimos por adelante.
Orgulloso, como bien dices, por el trabajo bien hecho, porque has salido muy bien, has conseguido mantener una buena distancia todo el tiempo con Enzo, sí. Y además has conseguido finalmente esa vuelta rápida.
Claro, sí. Como les digo, fue siempre al límite con estos coches, siempre mucho over, pero bueno, lo manejamos al final y lo conseguimos.
Enhorabuena.
Muchas gracias.
Interview there with the race winner Andres Cardenas, thanking the team, thanking the mechanics. They're working hard in this project and to move forward, and had a good start and a very good run through the race, good finish. So congratulations to Cardenas, his first win of the season, his first win in Formula 4. As I mentioned earlier on, he missed the opening round at Spa-Francorchamps. As you see him on screen there in the white Campos Century. He missed the first round in Spa-Francorchamps. He was actually too young. He had to wait till the second round in Aragon before he could make his move into the category. It is Christian Ho that was battling with Geronimo Berrio earlier on. A battle which he eventually won. And of course, you know, Ho would have been expecting a little bit more out of this weekend. Finished 6th yesterday. And that is the battle between Noah Lyle. That's Matteo De Peo and Jessica Esquada just behind. Christian Ho was there as well. That was that is Theodore Jensen coming into the pit lane, and probably why he went into the pits is because he had no front wing. What a shock. As we look now onto the track, a little bit of a break before the next race, the Euro Cup 3 race. When I say a little bit of a break, I mean literally only a few minutes. We're waiting for the podium. Warm day. It started out at 26 degrees, now up to 28, expecting to get quite a bit warmer later on today. The third race, which happens very much in the height of the afternoon, and is 30 minutes plus 1 lap, may be a little bit more punishing than what we just saw there. As we see the drivers now coming onto the podium. Hopefully we'll see the drivers coming onto the podium in a few moments' time. Yes, there we do. Rinnicella on the third spot in the orange MP Motorsport overalls. Enzo Deligny in the kind of slightly dulled Red Bull Motorsport colours, second on the grid. Second on the podium. And the race winner, Andres Cardenas, in the white Campos overalls, number 18 on his belt. And the team representative for Campos Racing, and the trophy's now been handed out. Is the bronze statue for Rinnicella, another podium for the young Italian. Is the silver runner-up trophy going towards Deligny. Solid job today, did very well to hold him off at the start, but really didn't look to trouble Cardenas too much. And Cardenas, for his trouble, takes the gold trophy for winning this morning's race. And last but not least, a gold trophy for the team representative for Campos Racing. Another race win for the Spanish team. And for the race winner, Andres Cardenas, we will hear, and the first time I'm going to ever hear this, we're going to hear the Peruvian national anthem. Congratulations to Andres Cardenas for winning today's race. His first win in Spanish Formula 4 as the drivers get together for their photographs. And with that, I want to thank you for tuning in to this morning's race. We will be back later on this afternoon for race 3, the final race of this weekend, as we're very much head into the second half of this season. It has been a joy to bring you this event, and we'll do again later on today. Tifa Nail is on pole position, and for that race takes place later on this afternoon. We'll get the timings on screen in a few moments' time. But until then, my name has been Leo Gorman. It has been fantastic to be with you this morning. Until then, thank you very much and goodbye.